mentioned in one of my recent videos that I wanted to do an updated makeup wish list video because there have been some significant changes since last time, which I think was in August. There has been some exciting changes in a sense that it has definitely shrunk, and I've been very particular with what I want, and I guess I want a bit of advice when it comes to some of them. Like, if you could convince me to not get them, that'd be great. But I'll go over that later. So the first item on this list is the only eyeshadow palette, which I don't think has ever been the case in the past. There's always been multiple eyeshadow palettes, but now there's just this one, and it is the Juvia's Place. Shoot, I don't actually know what it's called because I've only been looking at the picture for months and months and months. It's the quad of greens. If you know me at all, if you've seen any video, you probably know that I really like the color green. But I really like green eyeshadow, and I want to kind of pad out the spectrum I have of it. A lot of colors, I don't really need every color because I don't like every color equally, you know? But for greens, I really want some deep shades, and I have some darker greens, but they really don't stray that far from like mid-tone region. I don't have a lot of light or dark shades. It's usually somewhere in the middle, and they're usually on the cool side or the warm side, but this one has a lot of neutral undertone. So they're not super golden or super blue, and that's just really unique for my collection. The only one that's similar to other ones I have is that darker shimmery green. It looks like a muted, slightly different undertone version of a dark green shimmer that I have in my Avocado Toast palette, which has been depotted recently. But everything else, I can't think of anything that's similar. I'm gonna be honest, I'm mostly getting it for the deep forest green matte. So pretty. And that bright neutral metallic green, which I don't know, I feel like that undertone is hard to find because it's not, usually people go for really warm greens or really cool greens, but it's kind of hard to find the in-between. And this palette just looks like the perfect in-between. It's just 4 shades, and I really like that. But let's just move on to all of the rest of the eyeshadow, which are singles, because I've been mentioning, I'm talking so many times, I mentioned that I want to depot all my makeup. You're probably getting sick of me hearing it. You're probably sick of hearing it. You're sick of me saying it. But that is the plan, and so it's a lot easier, not only because I want to buy specific shades and not a bunch of other random ones in a palette. I just want the ones I want, and that's it. But also, I don't have to worry about depotting if they already come as loose single eyeshadows. So that's another layer. The first one on here is the only one that's not from an indie brand, and it's from Ulta Beauty's home brand. But I've talked about this in my last wishlist video, and it is their eyeshadow in the shade Under the Sea. Under the Sea. Da, da, da. But it's another one of those neutral greens that it's really hard for me to find. Usually they're too light, they're too dark, too warm, they're too cool, and this is the color I wanted. This reminds me of a Franken I made a year or 2 ago that I really, really enjoyed. I have no idea about the formula, so if you have any experience with the Ulta Beauty formula, let me know. I was just gonna go in blind, not gonna lie, and hope for the best. I would probably buy it on sale because $8.50 is expensive for a single, especially from Ulta's store brand. The audacity is there, it's present, and I don't really appreciate it. But the next 4, and yes, 4, are from Clarity Cosmetics, and this first one is kind of like, if I don't buy another one in another brand, then I'm buying this. It's the shade Naked. It's just a cream matte. I'm debating whether I should buy this one or one from Cindy Grace, depending on if you guys can convince me to not get the Clarity Cosmetics ones. Like, I'm sure that their formula is great. The reason I'm hesitant about these is because I can't tell if it's something I actually want and I actually want to wear, or if it's something my fantasy self wants and wants to wear. So that's where I'm struggling. But the first shade is Picante. I think I'd code red before, but I looked through their catalog and decided Picante is more what I want. I want more warm reds that aren't gonna look pink, because I already have reds that lean pink, and I was kind of disappointed that they lean pink. But this matte looks really stunning. And then the shade Disrespectful. It's very pretty. Will I actually wear it? Still up for debate. The one that I think I want the most is Bloodlust because it looks so deep and rich and like this beautiful red. If I were to buy one of any of the ones from here, it's that one. But again, I just don't know. I feel like I need to use the reds I have and see how I feel, if I'm content with them, or if I feel like I really am missing something. Moving on to the Sydney Grace eyeshadows. This has shrunk a lot over the past year. With all of these, if you tried something from the line or one of the shades specifically, I would love to hear your thoughts on it and your description of the color and the undertone. All of that is super helpful because sometimes you can't find swatches or you like to look at a variety of swatches, and it's always good to hear different perspectives. Anyways, the first one on this list is Drift. It's the alternative to the other shade in Clarity Cosmetics, just depending on if I end up buying the reds. The next shade is Speedway. I don't really have many cool tone neutral browns. I say this with the eye look I'm wearing, but these are Frankens. I plan on using them up. But Speedway is a really pretty neutral brown, a lighter one, and Concrete Road I think is a slightly cooler and different undertone, and I think a little bit deeper. But those are the two cool tone mattes I decided to keep out of all the ones on my list, because most of the neutrals I have are more warm tone leaning, or they're like really mauve-y leaning, but they're not like just a cool tone without being too purple. And then the shade Biscotti looks like a really stunning, again, cool tone shimmer. So those are the three that I think would go really well and would fill the gap in my collection. And then the shade Velvet, I have a matte white and I have a what looks like a metallic white, but it's actually pretty sheer and more just adds sparkle on top of anything, but it doesn't really add any color. And I want something that's like bright white for inner corners or for really dramatic like cut crease kind of thing. Perfect Storm is the one where I'm like, do I have something similar? I have two matte light blues from the ColourPop in a trans palette, but the thing is, I feel like they have a much brighter undertone. This one's super light, but the one in the picture seems to have a tiny bit more warmth and grayness to it. The shade Mellow Yellow. Again, I have a matte yellow, but it has this warm egg yolk undertone. It's from my Avocado Toast palette from BH Cosmetics. This is a much cooler toned yellow than the one I have, and I feel like two yellows would be enough for me in terms of mattes. And the other two from them are Seafoam, which is a really pale, cool tone green, which again, I have a lot of mid-tone greens, but I want something like this that could help blend things out, especially because I'm so pale. The second one is Sea Breeze, which is the warm tone version of that pale green that I'm wanting. And I feel like those are just really filling the gaps. But that is everything for eyeshadow. Now that is one eyeshadow palette and either 13 or 14 eyeshadows, depending on if you count the two matte cream shades as like separate numbers, because I'm not gonna buy both. But that is way better than what it's been in the past. The next thing is, I've had something similar, but I ended up finding something that I think I would like better. It's the NYX Suede matte lipstick in the shade Cold Brew. I've been talking about how I want a brown lipstick. I don't have one, and I feel like it would fill a gap, especially like for fall looks. I really like earthy tones, and most of my lipsticks are berry leaning, so this is just something that I definitely don't have. I almost saved a red from this line, but then I was like, Anna, you're not gonna wear it. That's your, I know for sure, red lipstick, my fantasy self. The last thing is something not as exciting, but it's just the Milani Highly Rated Diamond Lip Gloss. I really like the Milani lip gloss formula, and so it's just a clear lip gloss. Kind of an anticlimactic ending, but I'm pretty proud of myself because that means I only have 16 or 17 items on my wish list, which is way smaller than normal. And if you consider the Sydney Grace eyeshadows as one palette and the Clarity ones as one palette, then that would only be 6 items. So very narrowed down. But again, if you have any experience with any of these products in terms of formula or the specific shade, please let me know. I would love to hear your thoughts, and let me know what is something that you can't decide whether or not it's something your fantasy self wants or something that you actually want in reality. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you enjoyed, and I hope that you have an amazing day.